And as a last note, as you'll probably see, this is a fairly thin piece of metal. This is not nearly as thick as the spring steel billet we'll be working on. You may be wondering, how is it that you can melt metal in this, but this itself doesn't melt? Heat rises. And first things first, we have a very big metal plate connecting this in. You can't see it from the bottom, and you can't see it from the top because it's all covered up with a lot of fuel.
It's a plumbing flange.
There you go. The plumbing flange is much thicker than this, and so at the critical heat point we have a thicker piece of metal. But the forge itself won't melt because the heat doesn't shoot back down into it.
And if it does get hot, we often wet the bottom to keep the heat concentrated.
And another way you can tell if you have too much pressure and not enough airflow is the bottom of this will turn glowing red.
Yes.
So if that's the case, you need to readjust it because your heat is going into your forge. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get this guy started up. It looks a little silly right now with the newspaper shooting out all over the place.
And the fact that it's a walk with construction steel bolted to the bottom for legs and string.
It's fairly jerry-rigged.
It's very jerry-rigged, but you don't need much more than this.
However, when this thing gets going, we can melt whole car springs into this.
And we have.
And we have. So let's get this guy fired up without another further ado.
So as we go about the process, I'm just going to give you a little bit of commentary, help explain, make it a little bit more interesting. Educational. So right now we're getting a big lump of coal started. We already have a nice bed of coke, and this is a process that you have to go through every time when you start up when you're working with coal. Get your coal started up and burned down into coke, as we explained. And it can be kind of laborious. Not laborious, but monotonous. As you can see the black smoke, once that is dissipated and the fire has died down and become more concentrated, you know you're ready to start forging. It's one of the advantages of working with gas, is that you can just get up and start right going. You don't need to worry about any impurities, as we explained earlier. But we use coal forge, much more simple to put together. It's very cheap. Gas is very expensive. This coal, not at all. If you can find a place to get it, you can usually get it pretty cheap. That is a local place. Buying it off the internet, I would not advise. Heavy cost of shipping. And right now, we're just sort of working the profile, getting the right thickness, the right length. Well, actually, the profile will be worked down later on the grinder. Right now, it's mostly about thickness and length. Don't expect, when you're first starting, to be able to forge out the exact shape you had it in mind for your blade or whatever you're working. You need a grinder or some effective way of removing material. And for those that are interested, I hope to do a few more videos in the future on heat treating. For one, I show you my homemade heat treating kiln. Essentially, just 2 MAP gas torches and some fire bricks. Use that primarily for heat treating knives. And in that video, I also hope to get on a little bit on the metallurgy of this, because there's a lot of it. It may come as a surprise to people, but not all steel is the same. Not all steel can be forged. What we're working with now is the technical name is 5160 spring steel. As you can see there, we got that very hot. Close to melting. You have to be very careful working with coal. It might come as a surprise to some people how hot you can get this. And the fire we have now is very good. It's very concentrated. And very hot. So we can do our work quickly and easily. Also burning very clean. You see very little smoke. And it's melted. That was a huge problem when we first started this. We thought, you know, the more fire the better, and we just kept melting as much as we had forged. We showed you that the other end of the spring. It's a nightmare. It takes a lot of trial and error. It's not something. If you're interested in this, it's something you should research. It's not something you should just watch YouTube videos on and expect to know everything. However, my goal is to allow you to learn as much as you can, because the information is scattered, to say the least. And we're working right now, since we have very concentrated fire, we're working just one section at a time. When you have a bigger fire and you have more experience, generally you can work the whole billet. That's something that we do when we're first starting. Right now we're just working one section at a time, being careful not to mess anything up. When you start with a really thick piece, you heat up the whole thing and you just go.